The mountain observatory stood alone against the night sky, its dome reflecting the countless stars above. Inside, Elian Reed adjusted his telescope, his fingers moving with practiced precision. At 32, he had dedicated his life to mapping celestial anomalies, a phenomena that defied conventional astronomy. Tonight, the meteor shower promised to reveal something special. Just a few more minutes, he whispered to himself, checking the coordinates. The Perseid shower was expected to peak at exactly midnight, and Elian had positioned himself at the perfect vantage point. What the star charts didn't show, what no human instrument could detect, was the rift that would open during the shower's peak. Temporary gateway between Earth and the astral realm. As the clock struck midnight, the first meteors streaked across the sky. Elian gasped at their unusual violet hue. He adjusted his camera, determined to document this unexpected color variation. That's when he saw her. Where the largest meteor had seemed to touch the distant forest, a soft purple glow emanated. Abandoning his equipment, Elian grabbed his jacket and field pack, driven by scientific curiosity. The forest path was familiar to him. But tonight it seemed different, the air charged with an electric quality he couldn't explain. In a small clearing, illuminated by moonlight, he found the source of the glow. Hovering just above a reflective pool was a being unlike anything he had ever seen. Humanoid in form, but clearly not human, her skin radiated a soft purple light. Her eyes, when they met his, contained swirling galaxies. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice like distant wind chimes. She quickly gathered wispy starlight around her form, creating something resembling clothing. Elian stood transfixed. "What are you?" "I am Nira, of the 7th constellation." She moved with fluid grace, keeping distance between them. "And you have done something terrible by seeing me in my light form." "I'm Elian. I'm an astronomer." He stepped forward, scientist's curiosity overriding caution. "Are you extraterrestrial?" Nira's expression darkened. "I am astral. My kind exists between your stars, in the spaces your telescopes cannot see." Her form flickered momentarily. "And now, because you've witnessed me in my vulnerable state, we are bound by the ancient law." "What law?" Elian asked, his rational mind struggling to process what he was seeing. "When an astral being is seen in light form by a creature of solid matter, our energies become intertwined." She moved closer, her eyes searching his. "We must complete the bond within 7 days, or both our essences will dissipate into the cosmos." Elian shook his head. "That's impossible, look." She reached toward his chest without touching him. Elian gasped as his skin began to emit a faint purple glow matching her own. He could feel something tugging within him, like an invisible thread connecting them. "The bond has already begun," Nira whispered. "We have until the next meteor shower to make it permanent, or we both cease to exist." "You mean, die?" Elian asked, his scientific skepticism faltering. "Worse than death. To be unmade entirely?" Nira's eyes reflected constellations Elian had never seen. "Our choices are simple. We complete the bond and become life partners, or we both fade away." "There must be another way," Elian insisted. Nira's expression softened slightly. "In all the cosmic records, there is no precedent for breaking this law." She looked up at the stars. "But perhaps in your world with your science... A sudden rustling from the trees interrupted them. "Others from my realm will come looking for me," she warned. "They'll sense the incomplete bond." "Come with me," Elian said impulsively. "To my observatory. We can figure this out." As they hurried through the moonlit forest, Elian's mind raced with questions. How could this be real? What did a bond between them even mean? All he knew was that the universe had just become infinitely more complex and that his life and this beautiful, mysterious beings were now inexplicably connected. Behind them, the stars pulsed with an ominous rhythm. Counting down the 7 days they had to decide their fate, the observatory dome hummed with tension as Elian paced. Running his hands through his disheveled brown hair, Nira sat perched on his desk, her purple glow illuminating the stacks of research papers and star charts. "So let me understand this," he said, struggling to maintain his scientific composure. "Because I saw you in your light form, We're cosmically engaged. Nira sighed, sending tiny sparks of starlight floating around her. It's more complex than your human bonding rituals. When an astral being is seen unshielded, our essence begins to harmonize with the observer. She extended her hand, and the purple glow between them pulsed brighter. See how your energy responds to mine? The process has begun. Elian felt a strange warmth spreading through his chest, like nostalgia for a place he'd never been. And if we don't complete this bond, the dissonance between our partially connected energies will cause both to collapse. It's happened before, she added softly. An astral woman and a human traveler 3 centuries ago. They refused the bond. After 7 days, they both simply unraveled. Elian studied his hands, the faint purple sheen visible even in daylight now. He thought of his research, his career, his solitary but purposeful life. I can't just abandon everything I know. Or would I expect you to make that choice without consideration? Nira replied, her voice gentle. But we need time, and the only safe place to research alternatives is in my realm, where the bond won't deteriorate as quickly. The scientist in Elian couldn't deny his curiosity. The astral realm, a dimension existing alongside their own, undetected by human instruments. What discoveries waited there? How would we even get to your realm? He asked, and Naira smiled for the first time, and Elian felt his heart skip. The same way I arrived. Through the rift that opened during the meteor shower. She moved to the window, pointing to the horizon. It will reopen briefly at dawn. We must be ready. Dawn came too quickly. They stood at the edge of the forest clearing where they'd first met, the air shimmering with potential. Elian had packed lightly notebook, pencils, a small first aid kit, and a photo of his parents. Long gone now. When we cross, Nira explained, you'll feel disoriented. Hold on to me, and don't let go. The air before them rippled, revealing a tear in reality that shimmered with cosmic light. As promised, Nira extended her hand. Elian hesitated only briefly before taking it. Surprised by its warmth and solidity, together, they stepped through the rift. The sensation was like diving into the ocean and falling through the sky simultaneously. Colors Elian had no names for rushed past his vision. Then suddenly, solid ground. Welcome to Astron, Nira said. Elian blinked, adjusting to the strange light. They stood on what appeared to be a crystalline pathway suspended among the stars. In the distance, structures of impossible architecture floated, connected by bridges of light. The sky, if it could be called, that was a tapestry of galaxies and nebulae, swirling in real time before his eyes. This is incredible, he whispered. A group of astral beings approached. Their forms similar to Nira's, but with variations in their luminescence. One stepped forward, his light a deep blue. You've brought a human to Astron, he stated, voice resonating like struck crystal. The council must be informed. We're seeking knowledge, Lysander. Nira replied firmly. About the bond? Lysander's eyes narrowed. There is nothing to know beyond what has always been. Complete the bond or face dissolution. His gaze shifted to Elian. The human should not give you false hope. Nira. After the others departed, Nira led Elian to a dwelling that seemed grown rather than built, its walls translucent and faintly glowing. This is my home, she said. You'll be safe here while I speak with the Keeper of Records. Alone in the alien dwelling, Elian tried to process everything. The scientist in him was ecstatic, but the man felt terrified. How had his life changed so completely in less than a day? When Nira returned, her expression was somber. The records show no precedent for breaking the bond once initiated. But there is mention of an elder who once studied the laws of cosmic connection. She lives in seclusion at the edge of our realm, and we'll find her, Elian said with determination. Surprising himself with his resolve, that night, though time seemed fluid, here they sat together beneath the cosmic display, planning their journey. Why did you come to Earth? Elian asked suddenly. Nira was quiet for a moment. Curiosity. The same as drives you to study the stars. Her fingers traced patterns in the crystalline floor. I've always been fascinated by humans, how you live so briefly yet accomplish so much. In the gentle glow of her world, Elian studied her features, so alien, yet somehow familiar. Despite himself, despite everything, he felt drawn to her in ways that transcended their forced bond. "We'll find an answer," he promised, not sure anymore which outcome he was hoping for. 3 days into their journey through the astral realm, Elian had filled his notebook with observations and sketches. They traveled on what Nira called the stellar currents, streams of cosmic energy that carried them across vast distances. "How much further to this elder?" Elian asked as they rested on a floating island of crystalline rock. "1 more day," Nira replied, her glow slightly dimmer than before. The strain of the incomplete bond was beginning to show. Elian noticed her falter as she stood. "Are you all right?" "The bond requires energy to maintain its incomplete state," she explained. "It's draining." Without thinking, he reached for her hand. The moment their fingers touched, the purple light between them brightened, and Nira's glow strengthened. "The connection helps," she said softly. Not pulling away that night, as they made camp beneath a canopy of newborn stars, Elian taught Nira about human customs. He showed her photographs, explained the concept of birthdays, described the changing of seasons. "Your world sounds beautiful in its impermanence," she said. "Here, things change so slowly that sometimes it feels like nothing changes at all. Is that why you visited Earth? Looking for change?" Nira nodded. "And freedom. In Astron, our paths are largely determined by our constellation of origin." She created a small orb of light between her palms, shaping it idly. "I was meant to become a celestial architect, designing new star formations. But I wanted to explore, to learn." "So you're a rebel," Elian smiled. "Perhaps we're not so different," she replied, her eyes meeting his. The following day brought them to the edge of the known astral territory. Here, the cosmic landscape became wilder, less structured. They approached what appeared to be a dwelling formed from the heart of a collapsed star, its entrance pulsing with ancient energy. "The elder Seraphine," Nira whispered, "the oldest of our kind." The being that greeted them had a form that seemed to shift between solid and light, her color a deep indigo that bordered on black. Eyes that had witnessed the birth of galaxies regarded them with curiosity. "A human and an astral, bound but not bonded," Seraphine observed, her voice like distant thunder. "I have not seen such a pairing in many lifetimes." They explained their situation, their hope for finding an alternative to the bond or dissolution. Seraphine listened silently, then gestured for them to follow her deeper into the dwelling. Inside, rivers of stardust flowed through the air, forming and reforming into shapes and patterns. "The bond you speak of was not always as it is now," she began. "Long ago, before the great schism between realms, humans and astrals interacted freely. The bond was a gift, not a sentence." "What changed?" Elian asked. "Fear, mistrust. The usual culprits that divide worlds." Seraphine sighed. "The laws were rewritten to discourage interaction between our kinds." Nira leaned forward eagerly. "Then there is a way to alter the bond?" "Not alter. Remember," Seraphine corrected. "The original bond was one of choice, not necessity. It required something your current bond lacks." Her ancient eyes fixed on them both. "True harmony. I don't understand," Elian said. "Oh. The bond you now share is incomplete force by circumstance rather than chosen with heart. For it to stabilize without permanent binding, you must achieve true harmony between your essences." She gestured to the space between them where their shared purple light pulsed. "This connection must be balanced by choice, not obligation." "How do we do that?" Nira asked. Seraphine smiled mysteriously. "That is for you to discover. But I will tell you this, it requires complete understanding of each other. No barriers, no reservations." That night, as they made camp on the return journey, the implications of Seraphine's words hung between them. "Complete understanding," Elian murmured, watching the cosmic display above. "How is that even possible between two beings from different worlds?" Nira moved closer to him, her light dancing over his features. "Perhaps like this," she whispered. She placed her hand over his heart, and Elian gasped as warmth spread through him. Suddenly he could feel what she felt, her curiosity, her fear, her growing affection for him. In turn, she experienced his wonder, his scientific mind trying to categorize the uncategorizable, in deeper feelings he hadn't acknowledged even to himself. When their lips met, stars seemed to explode behind Elion's closed eyes. The purple light enveloped them both, growing brighter, then settling into a steady, harmonious glow, later lying together beneath the cosmic canvas, their forms still faintly illuminated with shared light. Elion traced the curve of Nira's shoulder with wondering fingers. "I think I'm beginning to understand what Seraphine meant," he said softly. Nira smiled, her galaxy eyes reflecting his own image back to him. "As am I." Neither mentioned that only 3 days remained until their decision would become irreversible. For now, in this moment between worlds, they had found a harmony that transcended the bonds that had brought them together. The journey back through Astron was faster than their outward trek, as if the realm itself sensed their urgency. 2 days remained before their bond would either dissolve them both or bind them permanently. The purple glow connecting Elion and Nira had stabilized somewhat after their intimate connection, but still flickered with uncertainty. "You're quiet," Nira observed, as they traveled along a path of condensed starlight. Elion nodded, his eyes on the impossible horizon. "I'm thinking about what happens if we succeed. Or if we fail." He turned to her. "What does a permanent bond between us even mean? Would I stay here? Would you come to Earth?" Before Nira could answer, a ripple of energy disturbed the path ahead. 3 astral beings materialized, their light forms intense and unwelcoming. The one in the center, with a gold-tinged aura, stepped forward. "Nira, of the 7th constellation," he spoke, his voice carrying an edge of authority. "The Council demands your presence. You violated our most sacred laws by bringing a human into our realm." Vexor Nira acknowledged, her posture stiffening. "I've broken no laws. The bond gives this human the right to be here." The golden astral's gaze shifted to Elion, contempt evident. "A bond you clearly haven't completed. The Council has concerns about your ... intentions." "We've consulted with Elder Seraphine," Nira replied defiantly. "She's provided insight on our situation." Vexor's light pulsed with anger. "Seraphine is a relic, clinging to outdated beliefs about human-astral relations." He moved closer to Nira, ignoring Elion completely. "You were promised to the Celestial Architects Guild. To me. This human disruption threatens the order of our realm." Elion stepped forward, the scientist in him receding as something more primal emerged. "Nira makes her own choices." Vexor turned, finally acknowledging him directly. "Human, you understand nothing of our ways? This bond you've begun will end one of 2 ways, with your eternal servitude to our realm as Nira's bound companion, or with both your existences unraveled." His light brightened threateningly. "Unless a third option presents itself." The implication hung in the air between them. "We will appear before the Council," Nira agreed reluctantly. "After we've completed our research." "The Council meets now," Vexor insisted, "and time grows short for your ... predicament. With no real choice." They followed the astrals to the center of Astron, where a massive structure of interwoven light and crystalline material housed the governing body of the realm. Inside, 7 elder astrals waited on elevated platforms, their forms more stable and defined than the younger ones. The lead council member, her form a deep violet like Nira's, but more intense, spoke first. "Nira, daughter of the 7th constellation, you stand accused of endangering our realm by pursuing forbidden knowledge with this human." "Respected elders," Nira began, her voice steady, despite her dimming light. "What happens between this human and myself affects only us. We seek not to change your laws, but to understand them." "Ignorance," Vexor interrupted. "The laws exist to protect our kind from human interference. History has shown what happens when our realms intermingle." The council leader raised her hand for silence. "What say you, human? Why should we permit this investigation to continue?" Elion stepped forward, feeling the weight of alien gazes upon him. "Where I come from, knowledge is sacred. Understanding the universe, your realm included, helps us grow. Nira and I didn't choose this bond initially, but we're choosing how to respond to it. Isn't that freedom of choice part of any advanced civilization? Murmurs spread through the council chamber. The leader spoke again. The bond must be resolved within the prescribed time. If you find an alternative solution, it must be demonstrated before this council. Until then, you may continue your research. Her gaze hardened. But know this, human, if you bring harm to our realm or to Nira, the consequences will transcend even the bond's dissolution. As they left the council chambers, Elia noticed Nira's light had dimmed significantly. Are you all right? He asked, concerned. The bond weakens, she admitted. Our time grows short. They retreated to Nira's dwelling, but peace was short-lived. As night fell across Astrona, relative term, in a realm of perpetual starlight, alarm resonated through the crystal structures. Something's wrong, Nira said, moving toward the entrance. Outside, astrals rushed in various directions, their light forms leaving trails of energy. A young astral messenger appeared before them, her light flickering with urgency. The boundary between realms is destabilizing. The council believes it's connected to your incomplete bond. They hurried to the central observatory, where Vexer and several council members monitored a massive projection of the cosmos. Your presence creates disharmony, Vexer accused when he saw them. The rift you used is expanding uncontrollably. The projection showed a tear in the fabric between Earth and Astron, growing larger by the moment. Through it, streams of astral energy leaked into the human world, and Earth matter contaminated the cosmic realm. This isn't caused by us, Nira argued. The bond is personal, not spatial. An elder council member approached. Perhaps not directly, but your bond's instability resonates with the boundary itself. As above, so below. As within, so without. Cosmic law. How do we stop it? Elian asked, watching Earth's atmosphere begin to shimmer with unnatural light where the rift expanded. Complete the bond, Vexer said flatly, or sever it entirely. There is no middle ground. Len felt a weight settle in his chest. The choice they'd been researching, hoping to delay, had found them anyway. Looking at Nira, he saw the same realization in her galaxy eyes. We need to talk, he said quietly. Alone. In the privacy of a small meditation chamber, Elian took Nira's hands in his. The purple connection between them sputtered like a failing star. I've been thinking about going back to Earth, he admitted. About my work, my life there. I thought we had more time to decide. Pain flashed across Nira's features. You wish to sever the bond. No, he said quickly. That's not it at all. I'm just ... afraid. Of losing who I am. Of becoming something I don't understand. I share the same fear, she whispered. To be bound eternally to a world I barely know. Their shared light dimmed further as doubt crept between them. The chamber trembled as another shockwave from the expanding rift passed through Estron. We're running out of time, Elian said, glancing toward the door. And it seems our problem has become everyone's problem. Nira's expression became resolute. There's something Seraphine told me privately when you were studying the star charts in her dwelling. Something about the original form of the bond. What was it? That true harmony requires sacrifice, but not the sacrifice we fear. Her eyes met his. Not the loss of self, but the willing offering of it, knowing it will be returned, transformed. Outside, alarms rang louder as the rift continued to grow. The central observatory of Astron had become a nexus of frantic activity. Astral beings moved in coordinated patterns, attempting to contain the expanding rift between realms. Through the massive viewing portal, Elian could see Earth's night sky lit with anomalous purple aurora, the bleeding of astral energy into his world. The rift will reach critical expansion in less than 12 hours, announced an elder council member, her voice resonating through the crystalline chamber. Both realms face catastrophic disruption. Vexer approached Ilian and Nira, his golden aura tinged with red agitation. Your bond must be resolved now. The council demands it. How exactly is our bond connected to the rift? Ilian asked, the scientist in him needing to understand the mechanism. An ancient astral stepped forward, his form so dense with accumulated light that he appeared almost solid. Your partial bond creates a quantum instability. Two beings from separate realms, neither fully connected nor fully separated, echoes across the cosmic membrane. Like sympathetic vibration, Elian murmured, understanding dawning. Our unresolved state resonates with the boundary between worlds, amplifying the natural fluctuations. Precisely, the elder confirmed. The rift you crossed was meant to close naturally. Your bond prevents it. Nira turned to Ilian, her galaxy eyes reflecting the emergency lights pulsing throughout the observatory. We must decide. Now. They withdrew to a small alcove, the purple light between them weaker than ever. Less than a day remained before the bond would force its own resolution through their mutual dissolution. I've been thinking about what Seraphine said, Elian began. About sacrifice and transformation. He took her hands, feeling the now familiar warmth flow between them. I'm a scientist. I observe, theorize, test. I've always believed understanding comes from careful distance. Nira nodded. And I was trained to maintain the perfect geometries of star formations, to create beauty without being part of it. Elian continued. This bond, the connection between us, it's not about observation or creation from a distance. It's about participation. The original bond, Nira recalled Seraphine's words, was a gift between realms. A bridge, not a sentence. Ilian's eyes widened with sudden clarity. That's it. We've been thinking about this all wrong. The choice isn't between your world or mine, between bonding or dissolution. It's about creating something new. The observatory trembled as another shockwave passed through Astron. Alarms intensified. We need to go to the rift, Elian said decisively. Now. Despite Vexor's protests, the council granted them permission, a last desperate measure, as their own efforts to contain the rift failed. Accompanied by several astral guards, they traveled to the boundary, where reality itself seemed to fold and tear. The rift hung before them like a wound in space-time, pulsing with chaotic energy. Through it, Elian could see glimpses of Earth's observatory. The forest clearing, familiar stars from an unfamiliar perspective. What do you intend? Asked the council member who had accompanied them. Elian looked at Nira, drawing strength from her presence. The bond isn't working because we're trying to exist in one realm or the other. But what if it was meant to connect the realms, not choose between them? Nira's eyes widened with understanding. A bridge. Together, they stepped toward the rift. The purple light between them, which had been fading for days, suddenly intensified. What we need, Elian said, reaching for Nira's hand, is balance. Not separation, not dominance, harmony. As their fingers intertwined, the light enveloped them both completely. Elian felt himself changing, molecules and energy rearranging. It wasn't painful, more like waking from a dream into a more vivid reality. I offer myself, he whispered to Nira. Not in submission, but in partnership. And I offer myself, she responded, her form beginning to shift. Not in dominance, but in union. The guards and council member backed away as the purple light expanded, touching the edges of the rift. Where they connected, the chaotic energy began to stabilize, the tear in reality slowly mending. They're healing the boundary, the council member gasped. Inside the cocoon of light, Ilian and Nira experienced each other completely, every memory, every hope, every fear laid bare. The distinction between human and astral blurred, not erasing their unique natures, but transcending them. When the light finally receded, they stood transformed. Ilian remained human in form, but a subtle purple luminescence lingered beneath his skin. Nira maintained her astral appearance, but with a new solidity that reflected her human connection. The rift had changed to no longer a chaotic tier, but a stable, controlled gateway between realms. What have you done? Vexor demanded, arriving with reinforcements too late to intervene. We've remembered the original purpose of the bond, Nira explained, her voice carrying new harmonics. It was never meant to trap or confine. It was designed to connect, to create bridges between worlds. Elian nodded. The ancient law wasn't a punishment for seeing an astral's true form. It was an opportunity for growth, for expanding both our realms through understanding. The council arrived in full, observing the stabilized rift with astonishment. The eldest among them, approached Elion and Nira with reverence. "You've rediscovered what was lost to us centuries ago," she acknowledged, "the true harmonic bond." In the days that followed, Ilion and Nira became the first of a new kind bridgers, beings who could exist in both realms. Their bond, now complete but not confining, allowed them to move freely between Earth and Astron. On Earth, Nira experienced the changing seasons, the unpredictability and passion of human existence. She brought new understanding of cosmic phenomena that revolutionized Elion's research. In Astron, Ilion discovered wonders beyond human imagination and helped establish the first formal diplomatic connections between the realms in centuries. 1 year after their first meeting, stood in the forest clearing where it all began, watching another meteor shower paint the sky with light. "Do you ever regret it?" Elion asked, the subtle glow beneath his skin brightening as he took her hand. "Choosing this path?" Nira smiled, her galaxy eyes reflecting both starlight and Earth's moon. "How can I regret becoming more than I was? Every day is a new discovery. The Council is considering allowing more bonds between willing participants," Elion noted. "A controlled reintegration of our worlds." "And Vexer." Elion chuckled. "Still suspicious, but coming around. He's actually requested to study Earth's architectural principles. Says they're primitively fascinating." Nira laughed, the sound carrying harmonics no human voice could produce. Small steps. As the meteors streaked overhead, other small rifts opened momentarily, not dangerous tears, but controlled windows between realms. Through them, curious astrals observed Earth, and unknowing humans glimpsed the wonders beyond their understanding. "We've only just begun," Nira whispered, leaning against Elion's shoulder. He wrapped his arm around her, feeling the resonance between them. No longer a forced bond, but a chosen connection, stronger for being freely given. A whole universe to explore. Together, above them, stars pulsed in new patterns, signaling the dawn of an age where boundaries between worlds were not barriers, but bridges. Built on understanding and illuminated by love,